Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace be unto you and peace from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha the Messiah, his Son. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you another word. And our word for today is commandments. Brothers and sisters, we all have a faint idea what the 10 Commandments are. I remember in Bible school we had to remember them verbatim, and we had to know them in order. But what we didn't do was to delve deeply into the commandments to see whether we were applying them to ourselves or whether we were dismissing what the Father really was saying. Brothers and sisters, there are 2 gods on this earth. Each one has his own set of commandments. The master of the universe, his name is Yahuwah. He has given us a set of commandments to follow so that we can be set apart from everyone else. Then you have Satan, and he has his commandments so that he is set apart from anyone else. Now, I may be getting ready to say something that is shocking to you. And the only reason that it would be shocking is that you have not went in and really checked. The Antichrist, or the anti-Messiah, he has a job to play. And his job is to replace anything the Father says with his ways. Anything the Father says has become evil, and the things that are evil has become good. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to wake up. You have to make a decision. Whose side are you on? Let's check something out real quick. Antichrist or Antichristos, one who opposes Christ. Original word, part of speech, noun, masculine, transliteration, Antichristos, phonetic spelling, Antichristos, short definition, Antichrist, definition, either one who puts himself in the place of or the enemy, opponent of the Messiah. So, brothers and sisters, it should not be Antichrist, but anti-Messiah. And what Satan has done is that he is the opponent of our Father and our Messiah, Yahusha. And what he has done is that he has given us alternative facts to follow. And that's what we've been following. And the only reason that we have been following his ways is because we won't pick up the book and study for ourselves, nor will we apply it to our everyday life. Let's look at the definition of command. KJV Dictionary, command. 1. To bid, to order, to direct, to charge, implying authority and power to control, and to require obedience. Brothers and sisters, the Israelites, black folks, those who've been taken captive, brought to this country in slave ships, we don't want to listen to anyone. This is why our young men and young women are shot down in the streets, because they will not follow instructions, brothers and sisters. This is not hard to figure out. Now, if we won't follow instructions here, we don't follow the instructions of our parents, do you think that we're going to follow the instructions of the Almighty, especially when we don't even know them? Let's examine the first commandment. Exodus 20, 1-3, verse 1. And the mighty one spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, the mighty one. Let's pause. You see how my Father, he is absolutely beautiful. He is the one who has given us these commandments, and he is the one who has given us an edict. We must carry them out to live. The Father, not the Son. The Father gave us these commandments. The Son came, and what he did was he reverberated what the Father has said. You must keep his commandments. Listen what he says afterwards. Which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. In case you didn't know who Yahuwah was, in case you didn't know who the mighty one was, he tells you what I've done for you already. I brought you out of bondage. And brothers and sisters, if you keep his commandments, he's going to come back the second time, he said, to bring us out of bondage again. Verse 3, the command. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Well, I guess we messed up that commandment, because this is the God of the church. This is the God of the world, and the church follows the world. Thou shalt not serve two masters. You either hate one or you love the other. The one whom you gravitate more towards is the one whom you love. And you know, for a true fact, this is the God that you serve. The church serves this God. Everything is about money in the church, numbers in the church. The reason you go to church is because you want to get something from the Father, right? And they tell you, they says, oh, well, if you make an investment of 10%, you'll get 100-fold in return. It's just like playing the lotto, because brothers and sisters, there's nothing in the Bible that tells you to give money and that you're going to get it back. There's no such thing. The tithe had nothing to do with money. It had to do with the grain, the wine, and the lamb. No money. Check it for yourself. But yet the church tells you that this is what you should be seeking. Paul told you that a man who seeks to become rich falls into a trap and a snare of the devil. Brothers and sisters, once you get into this trap, it is hard to get out, because the love of money is the root cause of all evil. Now you tell me, brothers and sisters, is the church keeping the first commandment? Are they putting any other God before him? Exodus chapter 20, verse 4-6. Verse 4 reads like this. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah, the mighty one, am a jealous master, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me. Verse 6, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Brothers and sisters, look on the bottom, highlighted in red. Keywords, love me and keep my commandments. Look, the first ones hate him, the ones who don't keep it. The ones who keep his commandments are those who love him. If you love me, he said, keep my commandments. Brothers and sisters, do you think that the church is doing this? It says in the beginning in verse 4, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, any likeness of anything in heaven above, the earth beneath, the waters under the earth. He said, don't bow down to thyself to them. Don't serve them. For I, Yahuwah, the mighty one, he says, I am jealous. Then why are we serving this guy? Why are we bowing down to this guy? Why did we make an image? We've put this in our house. We said that this was our Messiah, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. He has nothing to do with Hebraic roots. A Hebrew is a member of the Afro-Asiatic family. Keyword Afro. That tells you black. We're the ones who got afros. How did this guy slip in? The Europeans stole our culture. They twisted it around and changed everything and created doctrines around this principle. They made an image, they passed it on to you, and they gave you a name that is connected to this image, and we have received it and have worshiped, glorified, bowed down, and served this image. Because once you call on Jesus, brothers and sisters, this is who you're serving. We've served this image for almost 400 years. The church is guilty. Exodus chapter 20, verse 7. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah, the mighty one, in vain. For Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Brothers and sisters, this is not a joke. The person who takes his name in vain, he says he will not hold you guiltless. You will be judged, brothers and sisters, for this, and you will go straight to the pit. And I'm going to show you why right now. KJV dictionary, the word vain, it means to hold his name empty, worthless, having no substance, value, or importance. The Father's name is empty to you. Why? Because we don't know it. The church does not know the Father. All they know is Jesus, Jehovah. They have never checked for themselves. Remember, the definition of vain is to make it worthless. If you do not utter the name that is above every other name, you've made it worthless. It doesn't have any substance. It doesn't have any value to you. Because what you're saying all the time, especially when you go to church, is that Jesus is the name above all names. And brothers and sisters, he is not the name above all names. This is the name of a false god. It's only 400 years old. Check it out, brothers and sisters. Your Messiah walked the earth over 2,000 years ago. How can this be his name? If you went to Mary and Joseph and the disciples and you asked them, where's Jesus? They would have said, who's that? They've never even heard this name. This name came about 1,600 years later. This is the name of the Europeans' God, the Greeks' God. Brothers and sisters, it's time to wake up. For you will be judged for using this name. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 to 11. Verse 8. Remember the Sabbath. Keyword is remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Verse 9. 6 days shall thy labor and do all thy work. You mean 6 days is not enough? 10. But the seventh day, let me say that again. But the seventh day, let me say it again. But the seventh day, not Saturday. The seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah, thy mighty one. So you see, brothers and sisters, everyone tries to say that Saturday is the Sabbath day, but the Bible doesn't use the word Saturday. That's a European invention. It said the seventh day. You count from 1 to 7, and that is the day that you are to hallow. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. Brothers and sisters, if you have a business, you have to shut down, and no one is required to work. Even your animals are not to work on that day. Verse 11, for in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested on the what? Not Saturday, the 7th day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day, which is the 7th day, and hallowed it, brothers and sisters. Now you tell me if the church is not guilty of this. He said, remember the 7th day, not the 1st day. They are going to church on the 1st day. Why? Because the white guy with blue eyes and blonde hair named Jesus has changed the Sabbath day from the 7th day to the 1st day. Shouldn't that tell you that you are in a strong delusion, that you're in trouble? The Father has told you exactly what day he wants you to worship, yet you choose another day and you say that you are following him and keeping his commandments? He told you to remember it. Set it apart. Keep it holy, brothers and sisters. The church is in a strong delusion. They are believing nothing but lies. They have dismissed with the Father's ways, and they've gone the ways of Baal. Prepare for Sunday, they say. Even on Sundays, you have the liquor stores. They close down. People are not in the streets as much. Everyone is resting and taking it easy. Going to church to worship Jesus, their God. They've forgotten the Sabbath day. And even the worship that they do on Sunday is wrong. At least they could have started from sundown Saturday evening to sundown Sunday evening, but they don't even do that. Brothers and sisters, if you are in the church, you are a violator of this commandment. The Father has told you to keep his commandments, and you are to worship on the Sabbath day, not the 1st day. Exodus 20:12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahuwah, the mighty one, giveth thee. Now this is the first commandment with the promise. It tells you that if you honor your mother and your father, that your days will be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, right? Now, check this out. Why do you think our young people are being shot down in the streets? They're in jail in record numbers, that even the young girls are being shot down these days. They're in jail. Do you know why, brothers and sisters? Because they have no honor for their father and for their mother. They speak to their parents like they are the mother and the father. They disrespect their parents on a regular basis. When the parent tells them something to do and they don't do it, they have dishonored their parent. And hold it, this has gone from generation to generation to generation. And here's something else that we do. We abuse our elders. How do we do that, Brother Dave? When our people get older and they can't take care of themselves anymore, your mother, your father, your grandmother, you're not supposed to stick them in a nursing home. They're supposed to be in your house, brothers and sisters. That's how you honor them for the labor, the time, the pain, the torture that they went through to raise you, the sacrifice that they gave so that you can make it in life. And that's how you would honor your mother, your father, your grandmothers, stick them in a nursing home. Brothers and sisters, the church is guilty again. Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. Thou shalt not kill. Now, everybody knows this, but I'm going to show you something. Abortion statistics for black women. According to the Alan Guttmacher Institute, black women are more than 5 times as likely as white women to have an abortion. We don't care about what the white women are doing. This is only about us, the Israelite women, the daughters of Zion, brothers and sisters. Listen to this. On average, 1,876 black babies are aborted every day in the United States. Did you know that, brothers and sisters? Remember something, we're talking about black women. And in this country, our black women, especially the ones who are doing the abortion, are all Christians. They all say that they are a part of the church. They all say that they believe in Jesus. And brothers and sisters, they are the biggest murderers on the planet. The approximate number of African American deaths since 1973. Now let's look at this chart, right? In AIDS is 245,000, violent crimes 354,000, accidents 447,000, cancer 2 million, heart disease 2 million. But look at abortion, brothers and sisters. 15.5 million of our little brothers and sisters have been aborted. Thou shalt not kill. And these are the people who are in the church next to you, shouting, jumping around all the time, crying, and yet they're sitting there as murderers and have no forgiveness because they don't know who to call upon. Jesus is not going to forgive you. Our brothers are out of control. They're not as bad as the women may be with the abortion, but brothers and sisters, this is advertised on television. Remember, the abortion part is hidden, but this is in the forefront. This image is in the minds of everyone who come across us. When they see us, they think of us as animals. They say these black people are just murdering and killing each other. Why do you think that the cops are shooting them down in the streets? It's probably not even that much prejudice. It is prejudice involved, but it's mostly fear. They're afraid of us. Wouldn't you be? Look at these guys. These guys will kill you in a heartbeat. They have no remorse. It's like they have no soul, brothers and sisters. This is what our people is facing. This is why the Father says, thou shalt not kill. This is what happens when you are in the church. All of these brothers here, they say that they are Christians. They grew up in Christian households. They were taught about Jesus. Do you see how empty worshiping Jesus, calling on Jesus is? Our circumstances has not gotten better. It has gotten worse. And yet our people continue to call upon that name. They are in such a strong delusion, believing a lie, that their children are suffering because they are refusing the knowledge that would bring truth and life. U.S. gun deaths by race and gender. Look at black men. We're double that of what white people are. The black women and white women are almost the same. But the black men are blowing each other's heads off, brothers and sisters. And then we want to worry about when a cop shoots one of our people down, we want to make a big ruckus. We want to introduce ourselves as Black Lives Matter, but yet we're killing each other. That should be our focus. We need to be training our children to be obedient, to keep the commandments. It's the only way out. But because the church doesn't teach our children to keep the commandments, this is the outcome. Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, brothers and sisters, I don't know if you've seen this show, but it is exciting. This show is full of adultery, fornication, in every way that you can possibly imagine. This show and its depiction of the church is accurate. This is exactly what happens behind the scenes. Brothers and sisters, check it out. You'll probably go binge watching because you're going to be so enthralled in all of the events that are happening here. It's going to be amazing. You may look at this as maybe fiction, but it's not, brothers and sisters. This is truth. The church is full of adultery, fornication, and all types of licentious, libidinous, and lustful behavior, even homosexuality. The church is guilty. Exodus 20:15. Thou shalt not steal. But yet you go to the biggest thief in the world, the black church. And they're doing this in the name of the Father. Did you know that every Sunday in the U.S. since 1980, black churches have deposited $231 million in tithes? $231 million in tithes every Sunday that the black church deposits in the bank, brothers and sisters. You see those statistics? Since then to now, that's $420 billion that they have made. And as a people, when was the last time you saw a school, hospital, or anything built or supported besides a bigger church? Ask yourself that question. $231 million a week, brothers and sisters. We should have our own colleges, schools. We should have everything for ourselves. But the church is just for the church. They only want to line the pockets of the pastor and to build bigger churches and bigger facilities. Why? So they can pull in more tithes. Now, why do I say I put the church in with thou shalt not steal? Because if you are collecting a tithe and you are using Malachi chapter 3 to validate your position, you are a liar and a thief, because you cannot collect money according to the ways of the Father. When it comes to the tithe, it has nothing to do with money. Anyone who changes this is guilty of a crime that will be punishable by death. Come out from amongst these people, brothers and sisters. They have changed the law of the Father, and they have passed it down to you and told you that you have to pay your tithes or else you are robbing God. When the tithe is no longer, it cannot be taken. It's attached to the temple, and only the Levites can collect the tithe. Now, are these people saying that they are Levites? Can they trace their lineage back to the Levitical priesthood? No, they cannot. They are thieves. And the place that you're going, the place that you believe that the Father has placed his name upon, is the same place that is robbing and stealing. Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Now we know what this is in the church. Gossip. Let me tell you what bearing false witness is. It's taking a story about the person that maybe is true, right? And then you change a few words around, and now the story has become tainted with a lie. That is bearing false witness against your neighbor. This is what goes on in the church, and this is common amongst the women mostly, but the men are doing it too. The church is gossipy. Now you tell me or not, I know everyone knows this. The church is guilty of this. They start gossiping about the shoes that you wear, or the outfit that you got on, how big your butt is, or, oh, she's dressed like a harlot. Maybe she didn't have anything else. Buy her something. It is just a mess in the church. And I've pastored my own church for over 10 years. And I saw all of this transpire on a regular basis. Had to pull them in my office to stop them from this behavior, and they still continue. Thou should not bear false witness against thy neighbor. If you don't have anything good to say, say nothing. Exodus 20 and 17, the last of the 10. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And if you see, brothers and sisters, it started off with the neighbor's house. Now, the Father put this in his word because he knows the heart of men. If this is the first part of this commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, the Father knows that this is the primary thing that we covet about our brothers and sisters. We are like crabs in a barrel. As soon as we see one of our people going forward, we try to pull them down. Let's do a brief recap here. He said, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Who is before him? Money. Jesus. Things of this world. We've placed everything before him. Even your cell phone can become a god. You're on your cell phone texting, looking at stupid videos, Instagram, everything to occupy your time, except for trying to learn about your Father. If you're not doing this, all of these other things are before him, and brothers and sisters, they are your gods. Thou shalt not make any image. Did we make an image? Well, we didn't make it, but we put it in our houses, and we still call upon the name that the image is attached to, which makes us guilty of this commandment, because we are bowing down to him. Well, some people says, well, I don't bow down to that white guy in that picture. He says, don't serve him. And when you go to church on Sunday and you're calling on the name of Jesus, you are serving him. And that has become your God. Brothers and sisters, did you not know that Jesus is not the Father? Jesus has nothing to do with the Father. He is a separate God. He is a replacement. And he told you not to have any of these gods before him. The problem is that you won't even check it out because of this strong delusion that you're in, believing a lie. The whole church is guilty of taking the name of the Father in vain. Why? Because they don't know it. They don't utter it. And the one whom they call upon is Jesus, and the Father has been totally wiped out and forgotten. Do they keep the Sabbath day? The Father said the seventh day, brothers and sisters. Satan says the first day. Now you must figure out in your mind, if the Father says the seventh, Satan says the first, and you go to church on the first day, which is Sunday, who are you following? Satan is your master. Honor thy mother and thy father. Well, we can forget about that. We stick them in nursing homes. We curse them out. We disrespect them. We ignore them. We're too busy to be taking care of our parents or answering their questions or even helping them with a little bit of problem that they're having trying to use the computer over the internet. We don't have time for that stuff. Get rid of those old people. I wish she died so she can leave me the rest of her money. That is the mentality of the church. Thou shalt not kill. Brothers and sisters, you've seen the genocide From 1973 up until now, 15.5 million babies were aborted by who? Black women. Where are they at? The Christian church. Then you have our young boys who are out there murdering other young blacks at record numbers. It's advertised on television. It's seen around the world. It makes us look like a bunch of animals, brothers and sisters. We are committing genocide ourselves. No one else is doing this to us now. It is us, brothers and sisters. We must look within. Forget that foolish Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a joke. If you're not addressing the real issues, we're talking about from 1973 up into the current time, we're talking over 20 million deaths. We're talking about car accidents, cancer, gun murders, violence. All of those things added together, we're talking about over 20 million deaths, brothers and sisters, from 1973 up until now. That is called genocide. And who is performing it? We are. Thou shalt not commit adultery, fornication. Brothers and sisters, if there was no adultery and fornication, there would be no abortion. Because they do not keep this commandment and follow the rules that the Father has laid down for a family, it leads to genocide. Thou shalt not steal. You're going to a church that is robbing you every day before your face, and you believe you're keeping the commandments, and the church you're going to is robbing you. If they're telling you that you have to collect a tithe and that you have to pay a tithe, or else you're robbing God, and use Malachi chapter 3 to validate their position, brothers and sisters, you better run, and run fast. The same people who say they keep this commandment is the ones who are robbing and stealing before your face. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Well, we know, brothers and sisters, that this part is really rampant in the church. The gossip is out of control. They've changed the story over and over. By the time it's gotten to 10 people, it's taken on a life of its own. The story begins to walk on its own. We cannot do that. It tells us not to covet thy neighbor's house, wife, anything that's thy neighbor's, their cars, everything. Don't covet these things. You can have your own, brothers and sisters. All you have to do is have faith in the Father. Put him first. And he said, all of these things will be added unto you. Now, who's going to make it into the kingdom of heaven? And in Revelation chapter 22, verse 14 through 15, listen to this, brothers and sisters. This is serious, and we're going to end here. Blessed are they that do his commandments. We just showed you that the church is not doing any, so they're not blessed. Anytime you hear them talking about, oh, I'm too blessed to be stressed and all of this stupid stuff, they are lying to you. The Bible tells you the people who are blessed, the ones who do his commandments. And listen what it says next. They may have right to the tree of life and enter in through the gates of the city. Brothers and sisters, the only ones who are going to have eternal life are those who keep the commandments. Not the people in the church. The church does not believe in the commandments. The church is the church of Belial, the church of Satan. That's who you are following. He tells you all types of alternative facts. He's telling you that you don't have to keep the commandments when the Father says keep the commandments. He's telling you you don't have to obey the Sabbath on the seventh day. You can do it on the first day and it's all right with the Father. But the Father said the seventh day, brothers and sisters. How twisted are we? Look at who's going to be outside. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. Who is that? those who don't keep the commandments. All of these are commandments, brothers and sisters. These are the breakers of the commandments. You see that? Wake up. Come out from amongst them. Keep the Father's commandments and live. Shalom.